What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement is still moving. This video is entitled, here's where I have to give black women credit. Over the years, I've been on YouTube and they've been, there's been this animosity, this tension between the men and the women and the gender war and this, that, and the third. And at a point, women would, we both drew our lines in the sand. And the way it looked is the men could see where some of the women were coming from and could definitely concede to certain points that were definitely dysfunctional about men as far as pertaining to how we deal with women. But the women weren't on that same accord. It was a minority, a very small minority. But what I give the women credit for is because over the years, you've seen more women actually look at the relationship between black men and black women more objectively. Not to say, women have to agree with everything men say, but I think the dysfunctional or the toxic women who did toxic things were so comfortable that they were able to make the point for the men that women were like, no, we don't do stuff like that. And time again, women were shocked. Like, what the heck? Huh? What? How? And what you come to see is the comment sections that used to say, I agree, this, started to kind of balance out. And then the comment section be like, what are you doing? Like, that's not right. That's not respectful. That's not coming from a real place. That's not being honest. You're not telling the whole story. And this is why I say why I have to give black women credit, because ultimately you started hearing black women say some things that they didn't say publicly. I remember, at first it was like the guys don't have it together. And then what started coming into the mix is, I know we're a double minority. I know, I can get ahead in America easier than the men, because I'm black and I'm a woman. I could use both of those playing cards. So you got to give sisters credit for that, because they could at least see or say that publicly. You started hearing women talk about how the family court system is set up. And like, okay, I see that, this is in my benefit. I'm as a woman, I get more leniency and the ability to do things that the men don't get and won't get because of the way things are set up. And, as women, we take advantage of that. Like, that's all guys wanted to see, hear. Then you start women saying things like, you know what? When it comes to raising children, these kids actually need their father. These mothers can't actually, as a mother, you can't raise a son to become a man. You start to give like, wow, hold up. I didn't think y'all was going to say that. And you started to see when it came to the dating choices, when you're young and you're free and you want to be a little wild, and you realize, man, how can I put this? That now all of a sudden, I could date whoever I want and whatever I want when I'm young, and when I hit this certain age, I'm ready to be married and have kids. And now you hear women say, that's not a good idea. I've been down that road, it's not a good idea. You hear the younger women say, that's not going to work, because I've seen the older women do that and it doesn't work. So why would I think it'll work for me? You like, I got to give you credit. I've even heard the women who were, on the divestment aspect of even YouTube or the swirling aspect say you can't you can't bring the attitude to these other men that you bring to black men. You can't, you're gonna have to be concerned about your weight. You can't be overweight and thinking people are just gonna accept you like that. And it's like I got to give you credit. I really do, because these are the things that guys were talking about. That in some aspects the women were just staunch on not even taking into consideration. And when you hear them, say those things, and some of these things they've said months ago, some of these things they came out years ago. You get what I'm saying? And when you start seeing the building and building upon that, and when you start listening to women say, I thought these guys were just talking about, how women are just disrespectful for no reason. You had to do something to disrespect this woman. And then when you see time after time a black woman being just out of pocket to a black man for no reason. And I'm gonna tell you one of the ways it started that I can remember. When Umar Johnson was on Roland Martin's show, and they had and they had that and it looked like he was just put on a panel to just get ambushed. Black men saw that, and black men were kind of on the fence with Umar Johnson at the time because of some things. But black men was like, that's wrong. But the thing about it was, black women saw that. Wait, this was basically a panel to throw this guy under the bus. And you saw, and it was pretty much Roland was a straight guy. I think it was a gay guy and a few black women, and it was just put him on blast like this. And I remember, I forgot who it was with the Nate Parker part of the Nat Turner story, when they was talking about it on a panel, and there was a black woman. There's a sister who was actually in the movie, and who with a sister who said she saw the movie, and she basically lied on television, like, yeah, and it has this, that, and the third. And he's like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. She's like, no, I'm in the movie, and it doesn't have that. And women were like, you would basically try to throw a black woman under the bus to keep this narrative that a black man did something that he didn't do. And ironically, I saw it in life with the R. Kelly situation, and Bill Cosby situation, but more so with the R. Kelly situation because I grew up in Chicago. Because at the time I was like, family members like, "Oh, Kelly is bad, this, that, and the third. He's messing with young girls." And I was like, I don't think y'all understand that these families have kind of sold out their children to get ahead. And they're like, "Oh, no, they didn't. No, they didn't." And then when they had that little documentary piece that was supposed to be like a hit piece on R. Kelly, then I started seeing even the women in my personal life and women outside of that look at it like, why would you put your daughter in that situation? Oh, to get a check. And I got to give sisters credit, not like I said for just agreeing with what guys have been saying, but seeing that these guys, most of these black men weren't lying about the underlying intentions, the going behind the veil and seeing what people were really on, that was behind the situation that a half truth was told on. And when sisters started coming behind the veil, looking behind the veil, like, oh, wow, I get on the front it's this, but on the back end, or behind the curtain, somebody was actually doing this to make it, to make themselves look innocent while they were absolutely just as guilty. And because of that, it's like more black women and black men have been able to either be on the same page or been able to separate the two extreme sides, because now people look at it like they're extreme men and they're extreme women. And neither one of those are helping the community. So I got to give the women credit because they have begun to see the extreme women and go, okay, the guys do have a point. So I appreciate that. So Like, share, subscribe. Catch y'all in the next one. Peace.